how encouraging was seeing what Jonas did the other night after kind of looking more like a guy he was the first 10 games of the season than the last couple?
Yeah, it was great. I think, it's been out there in the media with you guys. The coach had to sit down with Jonas, and Jonas is really receptive. He wants to be good. Every player has a different personality, and his is a little more laid back. But I think he got the message and obviously put it into action.
What do you think is the key to consistency for Jonas?
I just think it's, I think with the young guys, it's generally not just going out to practice and playing to play. Having a sense of purpose to what you're trying to do each and every day, execute that, get better, and not just go out there, lace them up, and play. When you have a sense of purpose, you go out there and you're committed to what you want to get done on a particular day, that's a sign of maturity and what I saw with guys at the highest level.
What would you say has allowed Jahmai to excel these last couple of games?
I think Jahmai's just got a really mature mindset about, whatever the game calls for, and I, heard him say the same in his press conference, that he's ready to do. I think like any player, he wants to play as many minutes and be a factor at both ends of the court. But Jahmai Mashack analytically and with my eyes, and I think everybody's eyes, is an elite defender, which is hard to find. And so he's got a special impact on this basketball team. But now, and Coach says this all the time, when you get lost in doing the other things, rebounding, effort areas, executing, passing the ball, facilitating open teammates, offense seems to follow.
Coach, I know it's just one game, but how good did it feel to start conference play, just kind of clicking on all cylinders?
Relief. I think, you always worry about that first one. And obviously Ole Miss, like a lot of teams, we've been there, that was not their best night, for sure. They're a better team than they showed, but we obviously had a little something to do with it. Guys came out aggressively, executed a game plan. It felt really good, Rob, to get that first one under our belt.
What's different about this year's defense compared to last year's? The numbers and metrics and all that look the same, but what's different in terms of what y'all are able to do and not do, maybe?
Yeah, I think we, I don't think we are as physical as we were last year. I know we have this reputation for being this monstrous physical basketball team on the defensive end, and I think we are physical. I don't think, though, that's anything. I think we're getting ready to go play a team that is probably more physical defensively and with what they do and positionally. So I don't think we're quite as physical or quite as big as last year's team, but I think this team has the same tenacity and want to and commitment as last year's team.
Similar question just on the other side. What's different about y'all's offense this year compared to last year?
Yeah, I think, we have older players, coaches' level of trust. I think coaches' adaptation into playing to our personnel versus playing to a lot of coaches, can't get out of what they've always done. And to coach's credit, there's the flexibility. Yeah, there's non-negotiables. There's the things we're going to do and we're going to do well that are important for each and every player. But I think that we have tried to obviously play with more pace. We are encouraging guys to take shots earlier. We want to have balance. We want to be able to score it inside, but we also want to be able to make the perimeter shot.
How important is Tobey's role in this game when you're facing a team that rebounds so well, especially at that center position?
It's huge. No pun intended. We're getting ready to play. The transfer they have in Jimmy Bell is 280. Tolu Smith, welcome back, right? So he's back. This will be his third game. They're a big, strong, physical group. Cam Matthews, an elite athlete, incredible body type. Same with DJ Jeffries, big. So if having like Tobey in this game makes you feel a little better, but I think it's not just going to be Tobey. It is going to be a game rebounding type of effort. And if we don't do that with a lot of degree of physicality, we're going to have a hard time.
Going off that, how much have you considered playing that two big lineup with Jonas and Tobey?
I think that's something the coach considers every game. I think he looks at how we're playing, the flow of the game, the personnel of the other team, not just defensively or offensively, but how it all comes together. Can we do it? Is there, bottom line, whenever you're with lineups, you always are looking at advantage, disadvantage. So if that makes sense with how you're going to play two bigs.
State's coming off a game where they didn't rebound well. How much are you expecting that game within the game to impact the outcome?
I think that they're going to be, the way Coach Jan's coaches, and I have a lot of respect for what they do, what he got done in his first year and what he's doing now in his second year. You got to remember, this record was largely, this resume was largely built without Tolu. So now having him back, again, starting 3 fifth-year players, 2 seniors, having the depth, I think we are going to be in for our most physical battle of the year. And I'm not sure it's going to be close, like in terms of what we've seen so far. Tarleton State was actually very physical. The SEC, Ole Miss gave us some of that. But I think in terms of, again, position by position, Mississippi State will be the biggest challenge of the year.
Coach, you've mentioned maturity a couple times. How big of a benefit is it to have veterans like you guys do when you get in the grind like this? You don't have to tell guys how tough it's going to be, night in, night out.
Yeah, I think it's, again, I think it's a critical piece in playing through the ebbs and flow of a game. You know it's going to be emotional over there. We went through it last year. If you remember how that game started, I think we were down 10 early and just kind of grinded away. We did it without Santi, and I think Tyreek was out as well. So I think having Josiah and Santi and Jemai and Z and Jonas, like they know there's ebbs and flows to the game. Without that maturity, I think it's harder for young guys to understand that. That we talked about having commitment. Emotion is really important, but commitment is probably more sustainable.
What have you learned about the team on the road this season? I know you played some neutral site games too, but specifically those kind of true road games. What have you learned from those guys?
Well, we stood up pretty well. I think if we could, get rid of the first half of North Carolina, of course they had a lot to do with it. They played awesome. But I think this team has, been on the road enough and is road tested. And obviously when you get in conference play, I think the intensity level, you all have been there, that it'll be a little bit tougher than anywhere we've probably gone, just because it is in league. Mississippi State realizes the importance of this game just as we do. There's a lot at stake.
How would you describe Jordan Gainey's role on the team at this point?
I think, we've seen the best of Jordan. I'm really proud of Jordan for continuing to sustain like his defensive effort and being a team guy and wanting to do the right things. But Jordan Gainey is going to, at some point, pop out of what we would say for him would be a shooting slump because he's a very good shooter. So I am really proud of him for sustaining things and thinking about the team first. The rest will come for Jordan.
When you're in that shooting slump, how do you not let it snowball, and how do you kind of get out of it?
Keep shooting. Real smart, isn't it? Now, when you're a good shooter, you have to have confidence, and Coach Barnes is a guy that, is as hard as he is in terms of expecting accountability and doing what you're supposed to do, and he also is very good about providing confidence to guys. And if they don't shoot it, that is when he gets upset. Now they got to feel the game, right? You miss 3 or 4 threes in a row and they get runouts. You got to be smart enough to try and get something at the paint, get free, to the free throw line. But a guy like Jordan Gainey, you want him taking open shots.
Surprised to see Zakai be able to get back to himself this quickly.
Yes and no. Knowing Zakai, you guys know him, his DNA, how he's wired. He's just wired to compete. He went through this period to get back, and I'm not sure what, you'd have to ask Chad and Garrett where he really is on the scale, but just watching him play, he's starting to get that comfort level, right? It starts to look like the old Zakai, and he's been even, I think as good, if not better, than at times last year.
Anything else? All right, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate